Do you ever feel like you're both the smartest and the dumbest person in the room? You get these flashes of genius million-dollar ideas, but when it actually comes to following through, you feel like it's almost impossible. That was me, and if that sounds familiar, there's a good chance you've got ADHD. And now here's the part nobody tells you. 95% of people with ADHD spend their whole life feeling stuck in the cycles of shame, self-doubt, and unfinished projects. But the other 5%, the ones who cracked the code, they don't just survive, they dominate. And today I'm going to show you the 3 elements that separate those groups. But here's the thing, you need all 3. The first 2 build your foundation, and the third one is actually your rocket fuel. But this only works if you also mastered the first 2. So stick with me through all 3, because the next few minutes might actually change your life. Now, before I dive in, let me be brutally honest. If you don't master this, ADHD will run your life. You'll keep bouncing between half-finished projects, letting people down, and staying up until 2 a.m. just scrolling and wondering, why can't I just be normal? I know because I've been there. A couple of years after my diagnosis, when I was drowning, partying every weekend, completely losing myself in games and scrolling social media, and starting side projects all the time that never went anywhere. And trust me when I say I've tried everything. The normal fixes, planners, routines, productivity apps, Pomodoro timers. The mindset hacks, affirmations, journaling, visualizing, coaching programs. And also the body hacks, strict diets, 5 a.m. workouts, ice baths, breathworks, and even the spiritual side, meditation, yoga, and microdosing. Temporary relief, but no lasting change. Every time I thought this has to be the thing. And every time the same story. 2 weeks of hope followed by a crash into the same cycle. Another course collecting digital dust. Another promise to myself broken. Until I discovered the formula. The 3 elements that actually rewired my ADHD from my biggest liability to my greatest advantage. These aren't quick fixes or motivational fluff. They are the exact shifts that took me from that dark place to building a 7-figure business, working with industry leaders in real estate and technology. And more importantly, actually trusting myself again. Element number 1, taking the pain up front, the dopamine revolution. Every day you're faced with 2 choices, and these 2 choices create completely different spirals. Maybe you recognize this. You wake up, you grab your phone and you scroll for 20 minutes, eat some sugary breakfast, put off that important task. You order takeout, binge Netflix, go to bed feeling completely empty and promising yourself tomorrow will be different. That's the negative spiral. Each easy choice makes the next easy choice more likely. Your dopamine crashes lower and lower, and by the evening you're completely depleted, seeking any quick fix to feel something. But maybe you also know the other side. You wake up, resist your phone, exercise, and actually do something that matters to you. Suddenly you're energized. You tackle that project, you go for a walk. You end the day feeling accomplished and you're excited for tomorrow. And that's what we call the positive spiral. Each hard choice makes the next hard choice easier. Your dopamine builds sustainably. By the evening, you're still energized, still capable. And here's what's actually happening in your brain. What science shows us that when you do things you don't want to do, when you choose discomfort over comfort, you're literally growing a part of your brain that's controlling willpower and resilience. It is like building a muscle that gets stronger every time you use it. Cold exposure increases dopamine by up to 250% for hours, and exercise does something similar. Even just doing the boring task first creates a dopamine release that lasts for hours. Not the quick spike and crash that you get from social media or from junk food. And for ADHD brains, this is everything. We have chronically low dopamine. We are literally starting each day in a deficit. That's why we're always seeking, scrolling, snacking, or starting new things. We are trying to fill this hole that just keeps getting bigger. But when you flip the script and choose the pain first, you fill that hole from the bottom up. You build a foundation instead of throwing band-aids on a broken system. I started simple. Wake up immediately, make up my bed, have that first task accomplished, take a cold shower, go for a morning walk, and then because of the natural higher dopamine levels, I'm actually able to tackle that really boring task before starting the fun work. And now you're already in the momentum. You create the flywheel effect and you enter that positive spiral. And yes, the first days were hell. My brain screamed for easy dopamine. But by day 3, something shifted. And after around just 3 weeks, I was addicted to challenge. The easy hits, they lost their power. Instagram became boring and Netflix felt empty. Because my brain now was actually getting high on accomplishment instead of quick consumption. But here's the deeper problem. Most ADHD struggles don't come from a lack of ability. They come from a broken self-image. And this was the hardest pill for me to swallow. Element 2, rewriting your self-image. Think about it. From childhood, you were told, you're so smart if you would only apply yourself. Stop being lazy. You're not trying hard enough. You're wasting your potential. Why can't you just focus like everyone else? After hearing that many times, it sinks in. It becomes your internal story. And I remember starting my 5th business idea in just 2 years. Another domain purchased, another logo designed, another 2 weeks of complete hyperfocus and then abandonment. And as I sat there looking at all those half-built dreams, all I could think was, maybe they're right. Maybe I am just lazy. Maybe I just can't finish anything. And that story becomes the voice in your head. Why bother starting when you will just quit again? Everyone else can do this. What's wrong with you? You're broken. But here's the truth that changed everything. You're not lazy. You're just interest-driven in a world designed for neurotypical people. So how do you break that spell? By rewriting your story and collecting evidence. Concrete, undeniable proof that that old story is just bullshit. And here's where the science gets interesting. Through what we call neuroplasticity, you can literally rewire those negative belief patterns. Every time you collect evidence against that old story, you're physically restructuring your brain's neural pathways. You're not just changing your mind, you're literally changing your brain. Every day I write down 3 wins, and it doesn't matter how small. I answered that email. I went for a walk. I had a good meal. I stopped myself from starting another project. I showed up even though I felt like garbage. After just a week, you have 21 pieces of proof that you're capable of something. And after a month, this is 90. And after 1 year, this is over 1,000. But here's the key. You don't just write it down. No, you actually feel it. You let it become natural. And slowly, incrementally, undeniably, the evidence becomes undeniable. Element number 3, purpose, the ADHD activation code. Now, this is the real cheat code, the thing that flips everything. And honestly, without this, the first 2 elements will eventually fail. Because here's the truth, ADHD brains are not built for boring. We are not motivated by money, status, or security the way neurotypical people are. We crave meaning, we crave impact, we crave the feeling that what we do matters. That's why you can't focus on paying bills, but you can spend 8 hours deep diving in some random obsession. That's why you procrastinate for weeks and then pull off miracles the night before the deadline. And that's also why you can build an entire business plan just in your head at 3 a.m. but can't send a simple follow-up email. Purpose is what turns chaos into power. It's the missing fuel your brain has been waiting for. For years, I tried forcing myself into someone I wasn't. First, I positioned myself as a technical developer in my agency. But I'm not a coder, I'm a visionary. And this mismatch drained me daily. Then I shifted and I became a strategic leader. And then I started focusing on the creative direction of platforms, the stuff that actually lights me up. It was already better, but still not quite right. The real transformation for me came when I started coaching other ADHD entrepreneurs on the side, combining my business experience with helping people like me. And for the first time, everything clicked. The human element, the transformation, the impact, that is what I was actually missing. And now my agency work also aligns with that purpose. And my ADHD community lets me directly impact entrepreneurs that are exactly where I was. Every part of my work feeds the same mission. Think about it. Restlessness turns into energy when channeled into something that matters. Impulsivity becomes boldness when in service of a mission. Hyperfocus becomes your superpower when it lights you up. And finally, emotional intensity becomes passion when you're fighting for something you believe in. Without real purpose, every ADHD trait feels like a liability. With purpose, those same traits become your competitive advantage. And it's not just motivational talk here, there's actually science behind this. Purpose creates sustainable dopamine, not that quick hit that crashes afterwards, but the actual fuel that keeps you going. It raises your baseline. It tells your brain, this actually matters, keep going. And that is why so many ADHD entrepreneurs thrive when they find their thing. Richard Branson, Bill Gates, Simone Biles, they didn't overcome their ADHD. They found purposes so compelling that their ADHD became their rocket fuel. So here's the question. What problem breaks your heart? What injustice makes you angry? What transformation have you experienced that others need? What would you fight for even if no one paid you? That's where your activation code lives. Now, let's bring all of this together. Here's the formula. You take the pain up front, you collect evidence to rewrite your story, and you channel it all into your purpose. And when you do that, you stop fighting your brain, instead you start leveraging it. Look, I know you've tried the same things I did. Apps, hacks, quick fixes. But you don't need fixing, you need alignment. You need a system that matches your brain's operating system, not fighting against it. And that's exactly why I created ADHD Harmony. It's not just another course. It's a complete 90-day accountability system that implements all three elements. Daily accountability that forces you to take the pain up front, so you can start building those positive spirals from day one. And evidence building to rewrite your story by tracking progress that actually proves you can finish things. And also purpose discovery. We don't just start a random business. We help you find your business, the one that makes your hyper-focus feel like a superpower and not a curse. Plus you will get daily roadmaps so you always know the next step to take. Done for you templates for everything, website, offers, funnels, emails. A private community of ADHD entrepreneurs on the same journey. Weekly group coaching calls, personal video feedback from me when you're stuck, and a 90-day launch guarantee. If you don't launch by day 90, you will get a full refund, no questions asked. This isn't about motivation, it's about installation. Installing the operating system your ADHD brain was meant to run. Because when you combine the right systems, rewrite your story, and build from authentic purpose, while also being surrounded by people who actually get it, you can become unstoppable. The question isn't whether you have what it takes, you already do. The question is, will you still be planning in 90 days or will you be actually selling? Your ADHD isn't a bug, it's a feature, but you just need the right operating system called ADHD Harmony. It's time to install it. Check out the link in the description and join today. Now please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.